Good morning. This is the day the Lord has made, so let us rejoice and be glad in it. I am Pastor Marianne Kellenbach, pastor at Living Faith Church, which is located in the master plan community that's called Tradition in the city of Port St. Lucie in the state of Florida. And today is Friday, July the 8th in the year 2022. What a week we have had. This week, every time we turn on the television, we hear more and more and more distressing news. Sometimes we only focus on the things that are happening in our country and the things that are happening in our communities, in our cities, in our states. And we forget what's happening all around the world. As a matter of fact, those news feeds that we have, we could be sitting there and hear of the horror of Russia invading the Ukraine and seeing firsthand what's going on, and our hearts break and we cry for the people, the Ukrainians. How can this possibly happen? This is the year 2022. How can this possibly happen? Why is this happening? And then here we are, how many months later, as this war continues on, and perhaps we're eating dinner while we're catching the update and seeing the images of this crisis as it continues. And perhaps we've become numb to it. And we continue to eat our dinner without that feeling like I want to throw up because of what I'm watching right now. And then breaking news comes across that something has happened in our country, in one of our cities, in where there is domestic terrorism and people are being shot and killed. How is it that we feel so hopeless? And how is it that we're even able to go on? And we feel as if our world is crashing in on us as citizens of the United States. For those of you who are watching from the United States, the rest of the world throughout different countries have been experiencing perhaps things that we have not been experiencing. And so our world is not coming to an end. This has been going on for centuries and centuries and centuries and centuries. With the advent of news, we are now hearing and are bombarded more and more and more. And why are we being bombarded by this? Number one, because we can be. We have the technology now. And number two, don't ever forget that those that are presenting news on a 24-hour basis and sensationalizing it are making money by you viewing. There are many things that you can do to safeguard yourself from not losing that empathy, that compassion that you have for everything that's going on. One is shut off the television. Guard yourself. The second is to place your trust and hope in Christ. Jesus, God, is not off somewhere watching what's going on and going, children, you are destroying yourselves. No, God is right here, present with us, crying with us. God is present. God knows exactly what we are going through. We need to understand that yes, evil exists in this world. And while we do understand that evil exists in this world, we also understand that Christ has overcome that evil once and for all. Do I understand why Christ has not come yet? No. And I say come again is what I mean by that. No, I don't. I don't understand why these things are happening, nor do you. Job, in the book of Job, didn't understand why these things were happening. But what God told Job and God tells us is that we are to trust. We are not God. And as we continue to fall onto ourself as we continue to put ourselves front and center, wanting to get more and more and more and more of this world, taking it away from others at all cost. Therein lies the pain that we will have as it relates to our relationship with each other. We have all been through a very difficult time. The pandemic. We have been through terrorism, both international as well as domestic. We have been through so much. For many of us, it has been the death of loved ones. Let's not forget, 1 million people died as a result of a very real, deadly virus. Let us not forget that. And many of us, if we have not lost a loved one to COVID, maybe over these past years, have lost a loved one to another type of a disease, accident, or a natural death. We don't understand why. But what we do understand is how we move forward. And we move forward and can gain that peace which surpasses all understanding by placing our trust in Christ. How is it that we can have joy and peace in the midst of all this that is happening in the world? We can have it and we can move forward in love towards each other because of the gift that we have been given. In case we forget all that is happening, we know that there is genocide, extreme poverty, homelessness, hunger, and malnourishment. There is lack of clean water. We have extreme weather conditions. Whether you want to believe it or not, it is because of the way we are living. It is the destruction of nature through flooding and fires and tornadoes and earthquakes. Access to health care is limited. Gender inequality. We have issues with large-scale conflicts and war. Income inequity, corruption, where there's lack of government accountability and transparency and honesty, even honesty that we have with ourselves. Childhood obesity, refugee and crisis, civil rights and racial discrimination and religious conflicts. The list could go on and on and on. We hear the words that Jesus spoke to his disciples. I have said these things to you about who Jesus is, was, and will be, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, you will have anguish, you will have sorrow, you will have suffering, you will have tragedy. Yes, you will have and experience trauma, but take heart. Jesus reminds us, I have overcome the world. I have overcome the world. We don't understand at all, but we cling to the promise of the one who indeed has put death to death and flipped the world upside down. And perhaps if we all start trusting in that and begin to live into that promise and listen to each other, hear each other, speak to each other, perhaps our love will shine through, and just perhaps we will continue to catch more and more glimpses of God's kingdom breaking through on this day. Blessings, and I will see you back here tomorrow.